900 a.m. Right now, the crew aboard the Russian Project Tver 2160 patrol ship Sergei Kotov believes the battle is already over. They have just finished repelling a small wave of Ukrainian drones near the Kerch Strait. The commander, confident that the threat is neutralized, orders the engines to slow to a lazy 12 knots to save fuel. It is a fatal lapse in judgment. Less than 3 miles away, the true nightmare is already in the water. This is a wolf pack of Mura V5 uncrewed surface vessels, and they are hunting snorts in a coordinated pack. These 18-foot black music speedboats are virtually invisible to the naked eye. Tonight, they are carrying a combined payload of 900 kilos of high explosives. That is roughly the equivalent of parking a compact car made of pure TNT right next to the ship's hull. Enough raw energy to snap the Sergei Kotov's keel like a twig. In a secure bunker hundreds of miles away, a Ukrainian operator from Group 13 watches the Russian ship drift lazily via a Starlink feed and cracks a cold smile. He sees the target glowing on his screen, exposed and vulnerable. The Russians are opening the champagne early, unaware that a 900kg eviction notice is barreling toward them at 42 knots. The operator pushes the throttles forward. "Party time," he whispers. The countdown to impact is 28 minutes, but 1:05 a.m., the operation begins with a masterclass music in infiltration. The Mura V5 swarm didn't just drift over from Odessa. That would be too music exposed. Instead, Ukraine exploits the heavy commercial traffic of the grain corridor near the Kerch Strait. Amidst the radar clutter of dozens of grain barges and cargo ships, a nondescript civilian vessel silently lowers a ramp into the black water. The drones hit the waves and immediately execute a tactical split. The bait team 4 standard Sergei Kotov repels small drone wave near Kerch Strait. Maguras punches the throttle to a blistering 78 knots. They are designed to be loud, fast, and aggressive. They cut jagged wakes across the surface, deliberately creating a radar signature that screams, "Here I am," to the Russian K-27 helicopter patrolling above. Their job is simple: draw, fire, and die. Meanwhile, the kill team, the pair carrying the massive combined 900kg payload, adopts a completely different profile. They throttle back, hugging the troughs of the waves to mask their silhouette. Crucially, they engage an encrypted mesh radio network. This allows the drones to talk to each other directly, bypassing Russian jamming. Even if the operator loses contact with one, the AI on the others will guide the pack to the target. While the Russians swivel their guns toward the sprinting decoys, the heavy hitters vanish into the noise of the sea, creeping toward the Sergei Kotov like shadows in a graveyard. 1:10 a.m. The Russian defenses react with terrifying efficiency, doing exactly what Ukraine hoped they would do. The K-27 helicopter pilot scanning the water with thermal optics spots the heat signatures of the high-speed decoys sprinting across the surface. He dives, unleashing a volley of unguided rockets that churn the sea into a white froth. 12 Sea Baby decoys launch, high-speed bait team draws fire simultaneously. Sergei Kotov's main 76mm AK-176 MA automatic cannon spins up its radar-guided fire, tearing through the night. It is a massacre. The lead decoy drone disappears in a violent geyser of water and plastic as a heavy shell connects. Moments later, the helicopter machine gunners shred a second drone. To the Russians, this looks like total victory. The threat indicators on the bridge drop to 0. The commander of the Sergei Kotov watches the fires burn out on the water and laughs, turning to his executive officer. "They keep sending these suicide toys, and we keep turning them into driftwood." He believes he has just crushed the main Ukrainian assault. Confident that the sector is clear, he orders the gun crews to stand down and the helicopter to return to the deck for refueling. The adrenaline fades, replaced by the dangerous comfort of a job well done. They have successfully won the battle, completely unaware that they just lost the war. 01:20 a.m. This is the moment where physics meets psychology. The Sergei Kotov is now drifting at a low idle, its massive 76mm cannon pointing uselessly at the horizon where the decoys die. The crew has relaxed into that dangerous post-combat lethargy, the adrenaline crash that comes after a fight. They believe the sector is clear, but 3MI Music, out the kill team, is closing the distance using a massive design advantage, hydrodynamic stealth. The Mura Music V5 sits just 1.6 ft above the waterline. In the choppy nocturnal waters of the Black Sea, that low profile makes them virtually invisible. The Russian search radars are programmed to filter out sea clutter waves, debris, and foam to avoid ghost contacts. Tonight, that algorithm is their death sentence. The Mura drones are hiding inside the very noise the Russian computers are designed to ignore. In the Ukrainian bunker, the operator executes the final phase of the trap. He doesn't send the drones in a straight line. He splits the formation utilizing the Wolfpack tactics of World War II submarines. Music. He guides the drones to approach from 3 distinct vectors simultaneously. One targeting the stern one, flanking the music port side, and one circling wide to the starboard. It is a tactical checkmate. By predicting that the Russians would slow down and relax after the initial skirmish, Ukraine has maneuvered its assets into a perfect kill box. The helicopter is powered down Ka-27 helicopter plus AK-176 cannon destroy decoys on the deck. The gunners are off the triggers. The ship is no longer a predator. It is a sitting duck floating in the center of an invisible noose, music, and the operator is about to pull it tight. 01125 a.m. The smoke from the destroyed music decoys hangs low over the water, creating a thick artificial fog bank, music, that drifts slowly toward the ship. The Russian captain, perhaps sensing that the silence is too perfect, orders the electronic warfare suite to remain at maximum power. The Sergei Kotov's jammers blast the electromagnetic spectrum with enough noise to scramble a satellite signal from orbit. In theory, this creates an invisible shield that no Remitic-controlled weapon can penetrate, but Ukraine has anticipated this move as the Starlink signal flickers and dies under the weight of the Russian jamming. The Wolfpack doesn't stop. The Mura drones automatically switch to their dead reckoning protocol, using onboard gyroscopes and the last known GPS music coordinates of the ship. They lock onto the target's physical location. They are no longer flying by wire. They are flying by math. The jamming that the Russians are relying on is now just background noise to a machine that already knows where its meal is. On the stern deck, the K-29 helicopter pilot is climbing out of his cockpit, removing his helmet. After the successful sorting, he walks to the railing to flick a cigarette butt into the sea. He looks down. His blood runs cold. Emerging from the darkness just 500 ft away, not one, but 5 distinct wakes are cutting through the water. The drones are no longer creeping. They have punched their throttles to maximum. The roar of their jet ski engines finally reaches the deck. A buzzing mechanical scream, music that cuts through the sound of the wind. The pilot scream tears through the calm. The alarm klaxon, music, Sergei Kotov, slows to 12 knots, crew relaxes, begins to wail, but the physics of the situation are hopeless. The helicopter is strapped down and useless. The main 76mm gun is facing forward toward the horizon where the decoys died, and its turret rotation speed is too slow to catch up to the speedboats attacking from the rear. The heavy machine gunners frantically try to bring their weapons to bear, but the Muras are closing at 42 knots, zigzagging aggressively to throw off their aim. It is a scene of absolute chaos. Sailors are running across the deck, slipping on the wet steel, shouting conflicting orders. The captain screams for full power to the engines, but a 1,700-ton ship moving at 12 knots doesn't just sprint, it groans. The Sergei Kotov is a heavy, sluggish beast trying to outrun a pack of wolves that are already biting at its heels. The trap has been sprung, with perfect timing, catching the Russian crew in the worst possible posture. Relaxed, disarmed, and looking the wrong way. The Ghost Fleet has arrived, and it brought enough C4 to level a city block. 01:27 a.m. The timeline has compressed from minutes to seconds. Through the Starlink-connected feed of the lead Mura drone, the operator in the bunker can see the whites of their eyes. The camera zooms in, stabilizing digitally against the spray. The scene on the deck of the Sergei Kotov is a masterpiece of panic. The arrogance from 20 minutes ago has vanished, replaced by primal terror. Sailors are abandoning their battle stations, scrambling over the railing to jump into the freezing black water. They know what's coming. They know that a few millimeters of steel hull cannot stop nearly a ton of high explosives. Music. The Russian captain is screaming into the PA system, ordering a hard turn to starboard. But a 1,700-ton ship doesn't turn on a dime. It drifts like a sliding brick. The heavy machine gunners are firing wildly now, the barrels glowing red hot, kicking up geysers of water just feet from the drone's nose. But the Mura is too low, too fast, and too small. It weaves through the tracer fire with robotic precision, guided by a steady hand in Kiev that has waited all night for this exact moment. 45 seconds, the operator whispers. His pulse is steady. He isn't just steering a drone. He is guiding a verdict. The swarm splits for the final terminal run. 2 drones peel music off to the sides to box the ship in, while the heavy hitter, the unit carrying the bulk of the 900kg payload, lines up directly on the stern. The target isn't just the hull, it's the propeller shafts and the ammunition magazine for the 7C6M cannon. 10 seconds. The roar of the drone engines drowns out the screams of the crew. The K-29 helicopter on the deck, fully fueled and armed, looms large in the camera frame. A massive secondary bomb just waiting to be lit. 5 seconds. The operator watches a Russian sailor freeze at the railing, cigarette still in his hand, staring directly into the camera lens of his executioner. The connection is intimate, terrifying, music, and final. In the silence of the bunker, the operator smiles and whispers the final line of the night. Sweet dreams, comrades. The silence of the Black Sea is shattered by 3 distinct earth-shaking concussions. The first Magura V5 slams directly into the stern of the Sergei Kotov, detonating its warhead with the force of a freight train. The physics of the blast are catastrophic. The explosion instantly 6 heavy Magura V5 approach, stealthily using wave troughs, shreds the ship's propellers and rudder, twisting the hardened steel shafts like wet pretzels. The patrol ship shudders violently, throwing sailors across the bridge and snapping the keel's spine. But the nightmare is just beginning. Before the crew can even scramble to their feet, the second and third drones strike the port and starboard sides amidships. These aren't random hits. They are surgical strikes aimed directly at the engine room and the ammunition magazines for the 76mm cannon. The result is a chain reaction that turns the $65 million vessel into a floating volcano. A shock wave rips upward through the decks, finding the path of least resistance. The fully fueled K-29 helicopter strapped to the stern. The aircraft's fuel tanks rupture and ignite instantly, creating a massive secondary fireball that engulfs the rear of the ship. The night sky is lit up with a blinding orange glow visible for miles as the helicopter's munitions cook off, spraying shrapnel across the deck like deadly confetti. For the next 40 minutes, a desperate, chaotic drama plays out on the listing deck. The Russian damage control teams trained to fight fires on the high seas attempt to save their dying ship. But it is a fight against gravity, and gravity always wins. Pumps. Get the pumps running. The captain screams over the comms, but there is no power. The drone strikes flooded the main generator room instantly. The ship is dark dead in the water and listing 20 degrees to starboard. Handheld fire extinguishers are useless against an inferno fueled by aviation kerosene and high explosive ordnance. Desperate radio calls go out to the nearby tugboats and the rest of the Black Sea fleet. Mayday, mayday. We are taking on water. Massive structural failure. But help is too far away and the fear is too close. Other Russian vessels in the area hesitate to approach, terrified that more drones are lurking in the shadows. waiting to turn rescuers into victims. As the list increases to 40°, the order finally comes. Abandoned ship. Sailors jump into the freezing black water, surrounded by burning oil and debris, watching as their state-of-the-art home groans and Magura swarm strikes stern. Port and starboard amidships begins its final slide into the abyss. As the Sergei Kota vanishes beneath the waves, it joins a prestigious and humiliating underwater club. This isn't just a sunk boat, it's the latest chapter in the systematic dismantling of the Russian Navy. It joins the flagship cruiser, Moskva, the Caesar Kunikov, and the Ivanovetsas at the bottom of the Black Sea. Think about the geopolitics here. Russia built these ships to blockade Ukraine, to starve the world of grain, and to project power. Instead, Ukraine, a nation with virtually no conventional navy, has forced the mighty Black Sea fleet to run away and hide. They have abandoned their historic home in Sevastopol, Music, retreating hundreds of miles east to Nova Asayas, terrified of plastic boats controlled by Starling. This sinking clears the board. With the Kotov gone, the western Black Sea becomes a no-go zone for Russia. The grain corridor, vital for feeding the world and funding Ukraine's defense, is now wider and safer. Every time a ship like this sinks, the insurance rates for Russian music vessels skyrocket, and the morale of their sailors hits rock bottom. Let's run the numbers one last time. Cost to Russia, $65 million for the ship, $10 million for the helicopter, plus the training of a specialized crew. Cost to Ukraine, roughly $1 million for a handful of Mura V5 drones. That is an asymmetric trade-off that no military budget can sustain. Ukraine just traded a few jet outro skis for a Corvette. The sun rises over an empty patch of oil-slicked water where a warship used to be. The lesson for the Kremlin is brutal. You can build the biggest music ships, mount the biggest guns, and fly the scariest helicopters. But if you get complacent, if you relax for even 1 second against an enemy, this creative you become nothing more than an expensive artificial reef. Ukraine waited, they watched. And when the moment was right, they turned a celebration into a funeral. Now, I want to hear from you. If you were the commander of Group 13, Music, what's the next target on your bingo card? Is it the Kerch Bridge or maybe a special delivery for Putin's Black Sea Palace? Drop your coordinates in the comments below. I read everything. If you got a kick out of watching a $65 million warship get deleted by a Remotech-controlled jet, ski smash that like, it really helps the channel. And don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell because unlike those Russian radar operators, you definitely don't want to be asleep when our next video drops. Share this video with a friend to help us beat the algorithm like Ukraine beats the Black Sea Fleet.